Hi, everyone. I'm Sunitha Malapati. I'm the Vice President of the CACNA1A Foundation. And today we are joined by two families who are going to help us talk through what they did to organize a 5K event in support of the foundation's largest fundraiser of the year, which happens annually in May. This is our sixth annual 5K fundraiser, and it's the largest event that the foundation hosts, and it's a virtual event. And so, one of the things we want to talk about with the families that have joined us is how their event has evolved over the years, and lessons learned, and advice they have for other teams that are considering starting and forming and helping support the foundation. The foundation really values everyone's participation in this event. This is a big community building event, and we really want to try to make it easy for groups to figure out how to do this event successfully for themselves and their families. And so we really are grateful for the families are here today to help us walk through what they've done in the past. So right now, we're going to start with introductions, and then we'll turn it over to them to also talk more detail about how their events have evolved over time. So I will pass it over to fellow board member Casey Dolly and his wife Sonia.
Hello, I'm Casey and this is Sonia. We are in Syracuse, New York. Our kiddo is Avery and he is a 9-year-old with a loss of function variance, and he is hilarious. We were motivated right after the foundation was started in that first next year to do our first 5K because we realized there was nothing out there to help our child for treatment or a cure. And there was a couple people that started something, and we wanted to help the snowball grow and just get out, do something, and start to raise funds to see where this mission could go. Sonia, do you have anything to add?
Nope. You
No. Go ahead and hand it off to the Great House family.
Awesome. Hi, guys. I'm Sarah Greathouse, and this is my husband, Clinton. Our daughter Emery was diagnosed in 2021. And so as soon as we found the foundation, what motivated us was just immediately finding a home. Like you said, it's terrifying that there's really nowhere to go and not a lot of answers. And so as soon as we, came across the foundation, we were like, all right, what can we do? How do we start? And not having any type of 5K experience, running, walking, exercising, none of the above. We did just want to go ahead and be involved. And so starting small was the best, way for us to get involved, and family and friends and guilting. And, it was just empowering though, honestly, to be able to be like, no matter the amount of money that we can raise, we're in, we want to just be a part of it. And it did definitely help us community build as well. So, oh, and we're in New Mexico. Sorry, I don't think I mentioned that part.
Thank you guys so much. And I think to build off of what Sarah has just said, we want people, we really want families to feel like they just can get started anywhere. And so to help families understand how these families, the Dollies and the Great Houses, have started, and including some information from another family, the Anderson family, who couldn't join us today, but sent us some wonderful visuals and lessons learned. We're going to walk through each of these families' experiences to help give you ideas and lessons learned from their experiences in pulling this off year after year. So I'm going to hand it over to Casey, who's going to share some PowerPoint slides on his experience, his family's experience.
Thank you, Sunitha. So as Sunitha said, sometimes you just need to start somewhere. So the first year of the 5K, we had 5 walkers and 1 roller at our event. So we reached out to everybody in our community in the middle of COVID, and not many people wanted to come out, but Avery's physical therapist and her best friend, along with his vision therapist, and us, we got out there and we went a full 5K. And we had it might be our favorite event we've ever done, even though we've scaled our event up, just how close and personal this was, especially at a time where people needed connecting. So from there, we went, and in 2022, we increased our attendance. We were up from 6 people to over 30 attending. And our strategy was to improve our vendor or our venue, and work harder on inviting people. Like, say, here's where it is. So we moved it to Avery's elementary school. We made sure to invite his teachers and his classmates. We're still very skeptical. We've never run any type of event before. As Sarah had said, like, we're not big on this isn't our forte. But we're like, okay, now we have a track. So we had a quarter-mile pavement thing to go around in a circle on, and we knew how long 5K was, and we got out there with some sidewalk chalk, marked some things off, and invited people out, and it turned into a beautiful event. Moving into year three, we continued to increase our attendance. We had over 40 people attend in year three. And what we did this year is we kind of wanted to increase letting people know why they were there, and to thank them for being there and to thank people who supported, but then to create a sustainable, entertaining event, rather than just go around in a circle and say thank you. We wanted to make sure that, so I stood up in front of people. I talked about the grants that were given. I had visuals that were available for the different grants the foundation had given, some just quick reference thing of what is CACNA1A and how that related to Avery. We made our own personal banners to kind of pull in our community with a picture of him, when he'd be graduating from like this area and all of that, just to make sure that those who started to come could be part of this CACNA1A community and part of Avery's Avengers is what we titled ourselves to give it a give ourselves some nice personal branding at our event and for our team, because we are Team Avery's Avengers. So this year was also when we talked about entertaining, we did a color run this year and we made sure that we tried to just accentuate the fun, just tried to make people have as much fun as humanly possible, and they did. And that really helped with our retention into the next year to make sure that the people who went that year told their friends and brought somebody along, and just to try to continue to build up. So we go into year four and we had over 60 people attend that year. So again, a nice increase. We've stayed with the same things that we were comfortable with, but stayed with that focus of having a fun event and knowing that if people had fun and showed up, then they would bring revenue and continue to return. So that was our focus is lots of fun. And with that, we also started things like a basket raffle, and just to bring in additional revenue on top of donations and on top of registrations. We're trying to figure out how we can just bring in more money for the foundation to go toward its mission. And then finally, and again, we always thank our local donors. And I think Carolyn's going to point this out with her slides that we'll show later, but making sure you thank your donors and you're pulling for those local donors and getting them to support you really helps build community. And then finally, last year, we had a very rainy event, but we still had over 60 people attend. And our strategy for this year was to build on our successes. We had a basket raffle. The year before, you might have seen some balloons, but that wasn't a big return on investment. So we found a local kid who loves to do magic. And he did a magic show for the kids. So we were able to get that entertainment. We got State Farm, our local State Farm agent came out and did a thing called Quotes for Good. And they provided money for anybody that gave they were able to give a quote to. So all of these just different small things will all add up. And then the more people that can do small things like this can continue to build on the successes of the foundation. And our fun for this past year was we gave everybody pool noodles, told them to go in different directions, and it was basically lightsaber fights where they could go, and if somebody had a pool noodle, they were fair game, and adults and children alike had an absolute blast. And we're sure that pretty much everybody who came last year is going to come and probably more. And again, we thanked all of our people and everybody. We aim for fun. Fun is our goal, and money is the hope. Hopefully, we can pull in the money for the foundation. Bottom line, we like to have fun and do something, and really anything. Just get out there, start with a couple people, go walk, share it on social media, do something, and that is our bottom line. And on that note, I'll pass it along to Sarah and Clinton.
And as you're doing that, Casey, I mean, I love the message of just get out there and do something and make it fun. I think our family's experience has been similar, except we probably replace fun with food. So one of the things that we do is make sure we tell everyone that after the race, we're going to feed everyone something, and it's not like a massive lunch, but people will bring it's sort of like a little bit of a potluck and supplemented with other things like, and you can get local places to donate platters of food or sandwiches. And so that's the one thing we guarantee at our event is get out there, move a little bit, but then you get fed afterwards,
Oh,
and people come out for that.
we absolutely love that. And one thing I didn't mention is our like 5K events. Not many people actually do a full 5K. So people push themselves to the level they want to. We have some, usually there's a couple motivated children that'll go out and run a 5K, like some of Avery's classmates, and they're like, I'm going to do this. And then there's others who are like, I want to walk it, and it's a goal they've been working toward. And others, they do a couple laps and they showed up, and that's what we like. We like to see the smiling faces and see people show up. But I love the idea of offering more food. Usually we have a few snacks, but food is definitely a motivator for
Yeah.
me and a lot of other people.
Great, thank you. I know we're gonna hear some similar stories from the Great House family, but I'll pass it over to Clinton and Sarah to share their 5K event.
Awesome. Thank you guys. Yeah, food is a motivator for everyone on all aspects. So I love it. So we started, like I said, I think our first was 2022, right, Casey? That's not the picture I'm seeing yet.
As soon as it decides to open, sorry.
Sorry, no, no worries. You're fine. Yeah, okay, perfect. So yeah, year one, we were very recently diagnosed. Emery does not sweat actually, and so that was something that we were kind of concerned with here in New Mexico. In May, it's already 100 plus degrees. So starting out, we just asked some family and friends, probably I'd say about 20 people. Ended up showing up that morning, and because it was so hot, we actually just we were out around a little lake in a small little town in Dexter, and it kind of just goes in a circle. So we really didn't even know how far the 5K was exactly, but some of my girlfriends are runners, and so they had their watches on, and they were more prepared than we were. And we actually just stuck Emery in the truck and let her pass out water bottles to everyone, and kept her cooling rag on, and that way she's comfortable, but she's still present and getting to encourage and cheer on everyone that was there and that showed up for us. So that was really, like you guys said, Casey and Sonia, it was a very special, almost emotional moment for you, because you're like, man, these people have showed up for us when we don't even know what we're doing. So that was just super special for the ones that did show up. It was a huge blessing. But that one was small, like I said, probably maybe not even 20 people. We've had a friend that has always done these yard cards, and that has always been really fun. She's donated it every year. And so we've been really appreciative for our TG yard cards. There's her little plug. That every year she's shown up and been able to give us those cards. That was always a cool little backdrop for a photo. So then we go into year two, 2023. This one actually, because we learned our lesson with the heat, I really wanted it to be more inclusive for everyone. And so we asked our local aquatic center. They have an indoor swimming pool, and then there's, not necessarily a track, but kind of like some cement concrete sidewalks that we just implemented. You know what? I want Emery to get to participate this year, and I didn't want her to feel different or left out, right? And so that's my mom and my sister in the top right. They were able to swim with Emery, and then we were able to still host an actual 5K outside, and then we had different color stations where we had volunteers, which are usually family that you force to do things that they don't want to do. But we had our little color stations at different areas. And then, like you guys said, some people walked, a couple blocks. Some people ran the whole 5K. At that point, we had medals, right? So that was a motivator for especially a lot of the kiddos and younger people that wanted to actually run and sprint the whole thing. So it was just a really neat environment, because we did have coffee and some fruit and stuff donated that morning. So that one was also really special because we had a lot more people coming, and because of the color and because of the swimming pool aspect, I think it was just neat because it was more inclusive. We even had some of our friends show up that had the weighted backpack, because they're hunters and they were getting ready for a hunt coming up, and so they wore their packs, and so we just really tried to kind of cater to like, hey, come one, come all, wherever you are, let's just make this something that, more importantly, I think it's showing up, right? Just being able to come together and just make everyone feel like no matter what walk of life, even if you're in a wheelchair, like no matter what steps of life that you're in, this is definitely something we just want to have fun with and make everyone feel welcome. So that one was actually a really great turnout. But with that being said, No one in our family or friends really in this community, and it's probably because it is hot, right? Everybody, and also Clinton and I, and we have a lot of family and friends that are golfers. And so as we got to talking about the next year and wanting to continue it to grow, everyone was like, look, can we be honest with you? We don't want to do a 5K. Why don't you do a golf scramble? And we were like, yeah, duh. Like, that sounds like a great idea. But I will say, you feel like you're biting off a little more than you can chew at certain points, because there's a lot of planning and organization. And of course, Clinton always wants to have swag and, all these items that you really do kind of feel obligated to, give in a golf tournament, because it is expensive and they're investing their money, not only their time, right? So we kind of strategized and figured out ways to create sponsorships. And trust me, I'm still uncomfortable to this day. Like, it's hard to talk about, it's hard to ask people for money. It's hard to explain, what's wrong with your kid, or even to the aspect of like, well, what is the foundation doing? I really need to get better, like you, Dolly, is having more information about the foundation and the fundraising and all the things that the foundation's accomplished all these years. I'm definitely going to learn from you and do that for this next golf tournament, because I think that's extremely important for them to be like, well, where is my money going? And what is this foundation about? And, we've run into a little bit where sometimes if it's not local, they're kind of like, well, who are these people on the East Coast? Like, and I'm like, it's not the East Coast, it's the whole entire world. It's not even just the United States. Like, we're so many people being benefited and blessed by this foundation. So with that being said, we kind of went out, family and friends. We're in the oil and gas industry. And so we really tried to come together. I actually had a meeting with several of our friends that work in a lot of these different businesses, and some friends that have had golf tournaments in the past for memorials or for fundraising. And I just asked them, guys, please I had a notepad and I was just like, pour your brain out to me, let us know how we can make this thing successful. And so they actually, a lot of people were like, okay, you got to get flyers with the QR code. Thank you, Dolly's, for always making the flyer too. And again, that's just what we do, right? We're a part of this little family that Sunitha actually told us this. We're a part of a family now that you didn't really particularly want to be a part of, but you know what? We're here. We're going to stay together. We're going to help each other and support each other, because we all share so many similar fears, right? So that is part of the blessing of just coming together. So I kind of use that mentality I learned from the foundation, and really just humbled ourselves. And we're like, we got to ask for help, and we cannot do this without our community. And we're blessed. We live in a really generous community and a very supportive atmosphere. So took everybody's advice, started passing out flyers, got the website going, just really tried to make this like a huge community effort. And then it is a lot of like knocking on doors at the offices and leaving them a flyer, but also saying, would you be interested in helping or participating? Or is there anything you would like to donate? We've got a local, one of a donates breakfast burritos, and then another big oil field company, they actually donate lunch. And so it takes a lot of asking and a lot of being told no, which sometimes it's hard not to take it personal and get your feelings hurt, especially when some of them you think, man, we've known each other, we've graduated high school together, we've known each other forever. And then for people to not be interested. But what's been so cool is to find the people that have been interested. It's shocking. Like, sometimes it's people we've never met, or it's families that actually end up sharing personal stories with us, like, I'm so empowered, or I'm so inspired because my daughter has epilepsy, or I have, my mom has a rare genetic disease. And we've really tried to push genetic testing as well, because in our community, we're in a rural area. It's just not very common for people to have genetic testing done. And so it's been a huge piece of being able to, it's so much bigger than just one event a year, to be able to raise money for the foundation. It's been such a growth experience. We've met some beautiful families that have kids with rare genetic diseases that we would have never met here in our little community if it wasn't for us just really having the courage to just put it out there, right? And we're not big on social media. We don't share much, so we really have not, like, we could up our game on that. But that's kind of a component that I feel like we kind of like to keep a little bit more private. But it also is a hindrance. I really think that it hinders us a lot by not putting more out there, on social media. So that's something that we're trying to encourage ourselves to get better at. Plus, as most of y'all know, we're not very techie. We're not very good at technology. So I'm usually asking for help on that, which again is another thing that humbles you. But this event turned out wonderful. We filled 38 teams with 3 people. So 108 players on the 2024 year. And then that brought us into the next year. So you see the polo actually that Casey's wearing right now. The first year we did end up doing for the golf tournament, like I said, Clinton likes his swag. So we ended up doing a little bit more swag, and that also kind of took away from some of the profit. So that is a lesson learned for sure for us, that we were like, okay, maybe we need to scale back. Maybe not everyone, because yeah, it's great if you wear that shirt and the hat the day of the tournament, but it really kind of hurts your feelings, and it makes you second guess yourself, that you're like, why did we invest in that when it really was an investment? It just took away from the profit, right? So, year one, we did feel we kind of overfilled the
Well,
swag bags.
what's hard too is when you're asking for sponsorship at different levels, you're wanting to give back to those sponsors something, that's I guess worth money to them, or a value of something that, gives them the ability to give us money for something. We always want to keep giving back to our sponsors, just like uh, Casey said, thanking your sponsors. I mean, they're giving money and time and everything
Yeah.
for us, so we have to take care of them also. So that's the whole thing with the swags, or any other thing that we give out, which, yes, it does take part of our profits to be able to provide to CACNA1A and anyone else that we try within our community. So, and
Yeah.
we're learning.
Exactly. No, that is a good point. And so going into 2025, we did scale back on some of the swag items, but we did pin flags that have their company logos, and trying to, through the website, trying to do more sponsor shout outs, for businesses and the families or the sponsors that did donate. We kind of thought, well, maybe this is something more of value, that their business will get more recognition. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And that was something that they've all really appreciated. And so that was a lesson learned, that we're trying to just continue to get as many people as we can involved. But learning, thank you gifts. Like, we ended up finding a pretty affordable way to build cutting boards, and that had their sponsor name logo on it. And and then also the DJ Drowsy Drew. He is such an incredible guy. He's always donated his time, and it makes it super fun for everyone. And so right there where you see where everyone's eating, we have the DJ right there underneath this big shaded pavilion, and that's where they serve lunch. And then it's been kind of like a cool gathering place, and Emery and the kids that come out there dancing, and it's just a cool vibe. That's something that I felt like was a really positive element to having it, just being a little bit more silly and fun, instead of being kind of like this competitive, because a lot of the golfers are competitive and they're great golfers, but they also just want to have a good time, so we're like food, music, gifts, a few for gifts, everybody loves that. So that's actually been a huge blessing, that I think that we're hoping the momentum will continue, and we'll be able to hopefully fill the team this year. We're doing it May 16th, same weekend as the 5K. So that's kind of how we've pivoted a little bit, and instead of taking people's negativity and a little bit of pushback, like, yeah, no, I'm cool, I don't really want to, do a 5K. We were like, fine, then you can't turn down a good time on a golf course. So that's the goal.
Thank you so much, Sarah and Clinton. And I think um, one of the big takeaways for me in working with you all on your events is just that you can be creative, you can be flexible. Like when you approach just about like not doing a 5K and doing a golf tournament instead, or a golf scramble instead, I think you were a little bit like, I'm not sure how the foundation is going to take this, but I think that for us, we welcome that creativity and whatever works for your local community, like that. We would rather you participate and help us raise awareness and obviously funding for research, but we are open to supporting families in whatever way they want to organize this. And it's been a great addition, and I think example of the ways you can take a 5K run that you're like, I have no idea what I'm doing, to doing something super sophisticated and complex like a golf scramble, but still like go into it being like, I just want to learn how to do this and pull it off and iterate each year after year. And I think we're really grateful for your family and your entire community support of all the things you guys have been doing so successfully there. You always say you don't know what you're doing, Sarah, but you somehow figure out how to pull people together to pull it off so beautifully. So thank you. Um, we're excited now to turn to Carolyn, who is joining us now. And I thought we could start with just a brief intro, Carolyn, and then happy to share your slides on your event. But tell us who you are, who your kiddo is, where you're based, and then maybe just a sentence or two about what motivated you to host a 5K event in the beginning and what keeps you going year after year.
Sure. Hi, everybody. My name's Carolyn Anderson. I am mom of CACNA1A champion Marin, who is 11. We live in Northern Virginia, so just outside of Washington, D.C. We're lucky to have a handful of families in the area that we are able to connect with, see once in a while, and it's a nice community to have that support for a rare disease because that's rare. So I started with the foundation actually at its inception, and in 2020 we started trying to figure out how we were going to fundraise, and nobody really knew what they were doing, and we came up with the idea of a virtual 5K because it was during COVID and families are all over the world. So that was sort of what made sense at the time. And now we're going on year 6. So my family did host their first 5K locally at my daughter's elementary school in 2021. And it was beautiful. I know Sarah kept saying she didn't know what she's doing, but I really had no idea what I was doing that first year. And there's a lot of lessons that you learn every single year. So it's been beautiful and a journey that our community has really joined us on. And people show up year after year, maybe different people, new people, old people, but it's just been a wonderful annual event that my family loves to participate in for the foundation.
Thank you,
Um,
Carol.
I I do have some slides. I don't know if
Yeah.
we want to
Do you want to
dive
share?
into
Do
those.
you want
I do
Casey to
have them here.
Okay.
Yep. Let me see.
Yeah, and I should have said before Carolyn started this the original event was like her brains and effort and blood, sweat, and tears, and she's been instrumental in helping us pull this off year after year. And I learned from her, so I'm really glad that she's here to share her journey on this 5K organization. Go ahead, Carolyn.
Well, we try. We try. But so anyways, I am the team captain for Team Miles for Marin. And that is my daughter Marin at the bottom of the screen there. And oh no, please let me advance the slides. Sorry, one moment. Technical difficulty. Okay. So you can kind of see here, we get a different turnout every year. Sometimes it's huge, and actually some of these photos can be deceiving because a
It
lot of
hasn't
them are
advanced.
just of the kids.
Has it advanced for others? It hasn't advanced on my end.
It hasn't. Oh, okay. One moment. Let's see. Casey, are you able to pull up my slide deck possibly and send it through for me? Apologies. But just sort of what I was saying is we have a different level of turnout every year. And one thing that I found since we host our event at my daughter's elementary school, we've found that it's helpful to send home a little flyer or postcard with the school's permission to invite anybody that you want. We invite the whole school. We get a lot of turnout from my daughter's grade level and her peers and friends. But a lot of times we get turnout from families that we don't even know, and now we know them, and it's been really beautiful to see. So we have a teeny tiny track, and everybody has to run around it, I think like 24 times, but that's what you get at an elementary school. And nobody cares. A lot of it for our family has been about community building, and some people finish the 5K. There's a lot of distracted kids, and they end up on the playground, and that's okay. And there's still parents running around the track. There's popsicles and chicken nuggets or whatever the food is that we've had donated that year. A lot of times we get pizza donated. It's really we're at the mercy of the local businesses that want to help us out, and we're grateful and lucky to have businesses that are there to support our event. But there's a lot of distractions for the kids, and that's not always what's important to us, although our event has become a little more run oriented over the years, but in the beginning that's certainly not where we started. So if you go to the next one, this is our event from 2025. This was the first time we actually did a chip timed run event. We hosted it at a local farm and cidery that we have a lot of near us. We're sort of out in the country a little bit. They donated the space to us, donated the audio equipment for microphones and music and things like that. And it was a great day. We had a run timing company come out and actually time it. They were able to bring in a lot of their race community that's local to us that we have never been a part of or really had access to here, and we didn't know how to do that. And so it was helpful to um, partner with one of those local running groups, and they were able to help walk us through it. They brought everything out, set it up. And they had a great, part of their community show up for Marin and our community. And so it was really cool to join those forces. So the top left photo you see here is of our 1 mile fun run. And that's what we decided to do last year was we separated it a little bit. We did the 1 mile fun run and then we did the 5K, which is really what the race community participated in. We did awards, we had medals. We love this CACNA1A finisher backdrop. We had Squishmallow awards for the kids. They got to choose. We had cheerleaders for kids that may not want to run. We actually enlisted our local Girl Scout community because my daughters are Girl Scouts, and a lot of them wanted to come out and participate. And we gave them pom poms, and we had embroidered patches that they can put on their sashes. So anybody that volunteered that was a Girl Scout left with a Miles for Marin patch, which was pretty cool. Let's see if you keep going. We just sort of have some fundraising tips that we've learned slowly over the years. Like I said, make it about your child and your community and do whatever feels appropriate for you. We weren't necessarily comfortable with a 5K at first, and we've morphed into the 1 mile fun run and 5K, and that seems to be working for our family. I don't know if it always will. We've thought about some alternatives like Sarah, not necessarily a golf scramble, but we've thought about something like just a raffle and an event at, a local winery or something like that. But do whatever feels best for your family. We like to allow people that don't register to attend the event. If somebody says, I want to come, and they're not on the registration list, I say, please come. I don't force people to register. I put the registration out and make it available. And but I certainly, we don't turn anybody away. Kind of on that breath, we have QR codes posted throughout our 5K. I post them around the little track at my daughter's school on yard signs. And yes, I do print those individually every year, maybe like 4 or 5 of them in hopes, that says, consider making a donation. And we do get donations out of that. And actually, a lot of those come from people that haven't registered but showed up. So, just keep an open mind with that. We try to engage local businesses. We do that through getting sponsorships, not necessarily for the formal 5K itself or the foundation, because businesses can't always meet that minimum, or that may not be how they can donate. A lot of our businesses can make in-kind donations, and a lot of that is with items that they sell. So a lot of times we will do raffle baskets, and we'll have 3 to 10 to 15 raffle baskets, depending on the year. We have local women's stores donate necklaces. We have massage gift certificates. Like I said, there's a lot of breweries and wineries near me. So there's brewery experiences. There's tickets to trampoline parks. It's a really wide breadth of things. So don't be afraid to solicit sponsors locally just for your event. But also on one of the next slides, I'll give a little bit more detail about that. But one of the most important things is if you are going to have winners, recognize them at your event and make sure you have like a specific ending time. And make sure, if you can, try to involve your child in that. We did these paint stir sticks last year that we painted CACNA1A colors. Wrote in we wrote Miles for Marin on them. My daughter put rhinestones on it, and we tied a ribbon around it. And some of the runners locally thought that that was one of the coolest keepsakes they ever had, and it cost us next to nothing to make. So, be creative. You can have your child draw something, first place winner, anything like that. It doesn't have to be expensive. If you scoot to the next slide, um, let's see here. We do something where we host a spirit night at a local restaurant. This was actually started by my daughter's second grade teacher. They were connected with this restaurant and said, "Why don't you do a spirit night?" And I said, "I have no idea how to do anything like that or how to connect with this restaurant." And she said, "Oh, I'll help you. All we do is go and we ask for a quick meeting with the owner." And it is now an annual Spirit Night event that we host. They do it for a lot of schools. I'm sure in your local communities, there are restaurants that do Spirit Nights for schools. It's a day where they set aside a certain amount of their proceeds, a lot of times 10%, from the full day or a certain time frame of sales from the day, that are going to be donated to your nonprofit. And so we usually pick one day. It's usually on one of the slower days for that business, which is almost always a Monday or a Tuesday. You are there to help them drum up business. It needs to be beneficial for you and them. So again, we solicit our friends and our schoolmates and our teachers and physical therapists to come out to this local restaurant. We always tell everybody we'll be there from 5 to 7, and there's going to be a 50-50 raffle. And they always allow one of our teachers or somebody that we choose to be a guest bartender or server. And so that's really fun. We've had Marin's teachers, we've had the PE teacher be the guest bartender. It is hilarious and fun, and they have no idea what they're doing. But it's just like another fun way to bring in the community. And this restaurant in particular has a lot of locals, and they don't know us, but they love when we come every single year. And darn it if they don't donate. So it's really fun. And be sure to thank the restaurant and its employees. We love taking photos with everybody. They love taking photos with Marin, and they share them all on social media. There's Marin's fourth grade teacher from last year as the guest bartender in the top left corner. The girl on the top right is one of her aides from summertime that we hire to get some help at home during the summer. She was announcing the raffle winners, or that we were going to sell 50-50 raffle tickets. And by the way, the winner of the other 50% of the raffle almost always donates those funds to the foundation. And then we have teachers, our principal, the bottom right corner is the employees from the night. So anyways, it's a great night. We recommend looking into doing something like that. We usually get, over $1,000 from a few hours and not a lot of work. Let's see if we keep going. Let's see. Oh, the local sponsors. So I did mention that we like to engage local businesses. A lot of it is small businesses in my community, but don't be afraid of those big box stores. Some of them are just, never going to return your call, and that's fine. But we've definitely found that Costco and Walmart love to give. Wegmans too, if you have a Wegmans in your area. But be sure to be very clear about how you're going to recognize their business at your personal event if they are not a foundation level sponsor. And so we will often display their logos. If you go to the next slide, I will have banners printed with the logos, and ensure that they're displayed, and always send those businesses, a copy of that picture so they see, like, we are recognizing their business, appreciate their business. A lot of these are businesses that just donate to our raffle baskets, and we value every single one of them, no matter the level of their donation. And always, always be sure to follow up with a formal thank you. Let's see, if you keep going, sort of along the lines of that is our raffle baskets. If you are going to do something like this, and this is something that as we've grown as an event, my family has learned to do, and it can be a heavy lift depending on how many raffle baskets you want to do, but you do want to give yourself a decent amount of time to solicit those in-kind donations, and draft a letter. And I know Shira and the foundation have letters available for families to modify and personalize for your local community. We like to state in our own personal letter our connection to the community, how long we've lived in the community, and obviously our why for asking these, which is Marin. But following up is going to be, persistence with that is going to be key. Knock on the HR lady's door in Walmart. I know the Walmart HR woman now here, and I can literally go in the back storage room and find her office and plop it on her desk when she's not there. And I know I'll hear back from her. So you'll build strange relationships that you never thought you would before. But some places, like Walmart in particular, they'll give me $100 gift card and say, spend it however you want. And a lot of times I'll go and buy raffle basket items that are themed for that. And Costco in particular, they want you to come on a Monday and they want you to come at the beginning of the month because that's when they get their funds. So again, you'll sort of learn the tricks of the trade for that. But we also like to do theme baskets, some for kids, some for adults. And I think it's good to have that kind of variety. The next slide has our letter that I include typically in our intro packet that has our sponsorship levels. I like to give businesses the choice of being a foundation level sponsor, but then I also give the detailed information about how they can also be a local level sponsor for our particular 5K. And their logo won't end up on the shirt. It's detailed very clearly in there. But QR codes, links, anything that makes it easier for them to go online and make a payment or shoot me an email to say, hey, come pick up this, set of board games that we would like to donate. Let's see, if you keep going, I think we just have some photos of our raffle baskets. The easiest way we found to do it at the actual event is just to have them all set up, let people, buy their tickets. We use QR codes, and then we always have a Square reader available to accept those donations. And then they get to put their tickets in whichever basket bin they want and make sure everybody knows that you're going to draw the winners shortly after your event, after your run ends, if that's something that you're going to be doing. Say we're going to, draw these at 1 p.m. or whatever it's going to be. And we always have a mic available, and we usually let our daughter pull the tickets out of the bin. Everybody loves to see that, or at least a group of kids. Somebody, close to the event is drawing it. And then lastly, I know everybody's hit on this, but thank all the people that participated and donated to your event. We used to do handwritten thank yous, and those are wonderful and great. But we've sort of expanded so much, it's gotten a little hard to do that. But we like to send out these postcard mailers now, and it's really easy to do. I sort of have a template now on Shutterfly or whatever site is running a coupon or a deal at the moment. And that way we can put those out in the mail, and I actually send them to every single participant that comes to our event, or that has at least registered that I have a mailing address for. So don't be afraid. Start small. You'll learn a lot, and you will hopefully have a really good time and grow your community and support the foundation at the same time.
Thank you so much, Carolyn. That was super helpful. Chock full of so many good tips, and I definitely learned some things from your event that I didn't even know about, so that I'm going to use this year. So thank you for sharing that. I think just to kind of round out the discussion, you all have shared so much. I just have a few questions that I'd love to touch on, and anyone can answer these, or maybe you all have something to say. But what is something that you worried about that didn't really happen or wasn't really a big deal? And then if there, in discussing this, if there are any like kind of lessons, big lessons learned that you have or pitfalls to avoid that you would share with families who are thinking about hosting an event or planning to host an event?
So our first event, I got out on the track, or our second event rather. I got out on the track and I like measured out the 5K to make sure I had it exactly because I'm like, we're advertising a 5K here and it's not that important unless you're running an event like Carolyn said, where you actually have timers and working with a running club and doing that. Having it close and knowing about what it is for someone if they want to do the full thing when they come, but not making it all about the 5K and more about the experience and the community building that both the great houses and Carolyn said, like that building of community and the registrants. So we focus a lot on like you need to register. it's not as important because the registration is essentially a $20 donation for each individual. But if people don't necessarily, if they can't meet that entry fee or aren't sure what they can do, having them be part of the community. So maybe they come next year and maybe they have it. Or if nothing else, maybe they're telling people about CACNA1A and they're hearing the story because it's as much about awareness as it about fundraising.
I think I can say I've always worried about numbers. I worry about people showing up, and I don't know why. And truthfully, we've had our first year we had an amazing turnout, and I think the second or third year we had maybe half of that. But it literally did not matter at the event. We everybody still had a great time. All the kids were still running around, and we focus less on that now. And then the second thing I worry about is weather. And we had done really well until last year, weather-wise, with our date. And we certainly had a monsoon last year. About halfway through, Sunitha can attest to that. She joined in the monsoon. And it really kind of turned into a full-on mud run. And you know what? No one left. Those runners, specifically from the avid running community, they stayed, they ran, the kids ran around in the rain. We kept it going, obviously barring any lightning or, specific dangers. But Marin's twin sister the other day said, when is the 5K? Because that was so fun last year and we were all soaking wet. Can we do that again? And I was like, well, let's try to not have the rain this year. But just don't be afraid of the weather. Even if it's a little rainy, everybody had their ponchos and umbrellas with them, and it was still really fun and memorable and wonderful.
We'd like to second that. We were about to say that, and yeah, we got rained out, but it wasn't a rain out. It was just changed what the fun was.
There was one year we did try to reschedule due to rain, and we learned it was not worth trying to reschedule. You can't get a hold of everybody. You can't reschedule porta potties and food and everything else. So just do it in the rain. It's fun.
For those in New Mexico, rain is water that falls from the sky.
Exactly. I was wondering what y'all were talking about. We have dirt and wind. That's what we got on our golf tournament this year was a lot of wind and chasing the sponsor banners and chasing shirts. And, we did actually have several people leave right in the middle of the golf tournament, but I mean, they had already paid. So we're like, okay, have a good afternoon. I don't blame you. One thing I would say also is just don't be afraid. Like that's one thing I struggle with is it's emotional to talk about the circumstances that Emory goes through and that how our family is affected and the other kids, the siblings that are affected by it. I'm an emotional person anyway, so it's just hard to talk about, but I promise the blessings that come from the relationships that you build, the people that you meet. I mean, some of the people that we are super, super close with now are because of us putting ourselves out there and asking for help, So I would definitely say don't be afraid to put yourself out there and ask for help because I think that the community that you build and the blessings that come out of it is by far worth it.
And speaking of community that you built, we've already, before starting any of this, we have community and we didn't know to tap into that early on. So at this point, when it comes to like sponsorships for the foundation, we have Avery's pediatrician. He last year, after we got secured his sponsorship, he said, please make sure you come to me every year. I want to do this. It wasn't just a sure, I'll do this. It's a I want to do this. The same Avery is now in a karate class. So his sensei, the dojo goes and connects. So a lot of the actual sponsorships we've secured are people that are already in our community. And now we just had to get that courage to ask the people that are closer to us as opposed to just randoms. So we've had a lot of success with that.
Thank you. That's really great. And I would echo the same thing based on my experience and also encouraging families who do attend to invite others. Like this is all comers are welcome, and that's how we've been able to grow our community. Are there any other tried and true methods for outreach to your community to get participation that you found to be really successful? I know some of you mentioned like different parts of social media, flyers and kids' backpacks at schools with schools' permission. Like, are there any other things that you've done to just increase participation or get the word out in your community about the event?
So we've actually encouraged family members that aren't local to do something where they are. So similar to what our first run was 6 people. We've had people, friends gather that are stationed over in Italy. So they do a run, they've done a run every year. And we've had different portions of our family that are like, I'm going to go grab 5 people and we're going to go just walk this day. So kind of be part of the event. And it kind of, as we're all a virtual event happening all over the world, even just as we as a node have our own little nodes that are supporting us and Team Avery's Avengers, even though they aren't here and able to come to our event. So we always push, do what you can where you are. We appreciate anybody who supports our community and Avery and the CACNA1A Foundation. So we don't turn anybody away for any reason. We figure out how we both pull them in.
I love that. And I'll say that just a little plug for we do have an event map on our run sign up registration page where we are trying to put events that we know are happening locally. So if you can't organize your own event, you can maybe join one that's happening locally to you. And like everyone has said today, usually everyone's welcome. And so we can definitely make sure to try to find you a local event if you want to participate rather than hosting. But I just want to close out our discussion today with one last question, and that is really about for families who are on the fence about hosting a 5K, what would you say to them? Like, what's your, if you could sum up your last piece of advice to hosting these events that for families that are kind of debating about whether or not they can take this on and add this to their plate?
I would say do it and you're going to be surprised and you're going to be so happy you did. And also, it's not going to look like you thought it might. It's going to be different. But that's almost always been for the better in our family situation. But people will surprise you. That's been, something I could say in my daughter's rare disease journey. It's people surprise me all the time in the best way. And this will be one of those situations. So don't be scared. Do it.
That's exactly what I was going to say too. Just do it. Just go with it. Go with your gut, your mama heart, your daddy heart. We have the best of intentions, and only beautiful things are going to come out of you having, the courage to support ultimately, your family member that's affected, but the foundation that gave us a home, you know.
And I would echo that, saying don't be scared to be creative.
Yeah.
On sky's the limit on it, on any type of fundraising. So I think encourage families to get creative with your own space and finding out what fits in your own community.
Right. So, musical talents, I mean, you could go so many different directions with just use your talents for the good intentions of the end result, which, like Carolyn said, is always going to end up being worth it.
To piggyback off what Clinton and Sarah just said, like my dad doesn't like running, but he loves motorcycles. So he started at his local Elks Club in August. We do so offset from the 5K. We do a car and bike show for CACNA1A at a local Elks Club. Heard people have interest in doing music festivals. So if music's your thing, go out and start a little music festival. Get a local band or two and a venue to do it, and invite people out, and then build off that. So build off whatever your passion is. And none of us have time. Nobody in the world has time, but you take what time you have, invest a little of it, and then figure out where it was well spent and not as you move forward year after year. And just try to build on successes, drop things that weren't as successful. And as we've all said, fun seems to be, if people have fun at the thing they're doing, they come back and that brings in money for the foundation. So the fundraisers tend to be successful.
And Sonia's even done Pampered Chef. I mean,
Yeah,
you know,
we've done Pampered Chef. There's a local group that does Singo, so like music bingo at different restaurants around here. So we're going to connect with them. And if all this is too much for you, start small. Grab a few friends, grab your family, sign up, and go walk and make it what you want it. And it'll continue to grow from there before you know it.
And if you're nervous and don't know where to start, reach out to any of us on social media or anything and be like, I'm nervous. Can you help? Sarah mentioned earlier, I do the flyers for them. There are people that can help you get going with things. So we are.
Wanted to echo that, Casey. From a foundation standpoint, we are here to help you. So you don't have to go this path alone. reach out to events@cacna1a.org. That's a good way to reach me. I've done fundraising for years. I've done everything from half marathons, timed events, to just walking around the neighborhood, to everything else that everyone's talking about. And we want to help you. We want to take some of the burden off your shoulders. As Carolyn had shown, we already have the banners ready to go. You can just take, the design from us and have it printed locally, etc. So anything you need, any way we can help, we're grateful for the support, and we're here to do that.
Well, that's a perfect way to end. Thank you, Shira and the Dolly family, the Great Houses, Carolyn. Your participation in this event and leadership on this has been instrumental for the progress the foundation has been able to make with the donations that have come in from your events. And we just really appreciate you sharing how you've pulled this off. And hopefully, we inspire and motivate other families in the community to join us. And just want to say thank you again for everything that you're doing for the foundation in our communities.
We'd like to